We are back with the Buffalo Name Podcast. I'm Joe Callie. As always, I'm joined by none other than Dom Loss. And Dom, we're recording at 8:14 p.m. right now, okay? It's a later day. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings right now? It's a different vibe.
It's a different vibe. You know, two dudes sharing one mic.
Yeah.
Like the old days. Listen, we're a month away from our 2-year anniversary, so thought we'd give you guys listeners a taste of what it was back in the old days. So this is a way quality better mic than your iPhone. So
yeah, it's better than an iPhone sitting in the middle of a table. So we're gonna hope.
And that time it was 3 guys, not 1. So
3 guys, 1 iPhone. I mean that is an interesting beginning, but we are here now with our new microphones or phone for this episode. We should say. I'll give a little background on what exactly happened here, just to ease the minds of the listeners. We're not going backwards, okay? If anything, we're improving. So today I ended up driving to Ohio to pick up my new vehicle, right? Through some swafus, if you will, I was delayed by about 3 hours, so I didn't have time to pack what I needed to get the podcast ready to go. So we're doing it later in the day with a very limited setup. So apologize if any of you are disgusted by the viewing, but we'll
the listening.
Video. Oh yeah, that's right. We're doing audio only this week, but we'll be back next week, just so you know. Also, every episode is now on YouTube. Just a quick program note. You can go back and not just the video, they have the audio files as well. So you'll be able to go back and listen to any episode you want on YouTube if that's your player of choice. Like and subscribe while you're there. I mean, that'd be great. But anyway,
I just have one question. I think this is the viewer question, thought in my mind. Your old car, the Jeep, had an amazing tire cover.
It did.
The Buffalo Name Podcast. Obviously, your new car, I won't spoil what it is unless you want to say what it is, does not have the same back to the car. So where people want to know, want me to ask this question, where is the cover going?
See, that's really funny you ask. It's getting wrapped entirely in the Buffalo Name Podcast logo. So you will not miss it. It is going to be an eyesore. Just kidding. It's not. I'll probably have a sticker on the back. You'll be able to see. Nothing too crazy, but gotta represent. I still have the tire cover. We should probably hang it in the studio on the wall. What do you think?
It probably could. It
would fit.
Honestly, if people have been
watching on YouTube, you've seen the studio.
We have the Hashtag, banner, and then the Bills fan cave. Probably up, like make a little triangle with that where that hook is.
Yeah, we'd be able to do something. We'll figure it out. We'll get it to you. Don't worry.
Probably shouldn't be a conversation we're having on the podcast, but
it happens to the best of us. Let's get into some Bills talk at this point. I think you and I both avid ADDers. We're dealing with it. I'll go off topic quite a bit, but the Bills are in a good situation here. The salary cap has increased just a little smidge for them. Maybe give some breathing room. The boulder's not quite pressing down on your chest cavity as much, putting strain on you. So what are your thoughts here, and what moves do the Bills make in this? Like, what do they do to take advantage? Anything you can see? Or
well, the salary cap went up $30 million to $255. I think a lot of teams expected it to be in the low 240s, 242, 243. So the $13 million is a significant raise. Obviously, it helps all 32 teams, but especially teams that were, maybe not as healthy in the cap as, like the Bills are. That helps them a lot. Maybe moves that they didn't, level. They didn't have to pull maybe the Stephon Diggs restructuring maybe contract now, or maybe they do and they have more salary cap because of it. I mean, they'll have an extra $13 million. So I think maybe if they still want to do all the moves they were going to make at 240, you could see maybe another Leonard Floyd type signing. So I think at least that opens up the possibility for the Bills to be, I'm not going to say they're going to be super aggressive, but maybe one move later, like Leonard Floyd, or maybe it's AJ Epinesa coming back. Like, I think they could maybe pursue a quality piece in free agency at the right price, obviously.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, at that point, it makes you feel a little better, but not too much better, right? It gave them a little more breathing room, like I said, nothing too crazy. They're still going to have to make some moves that people might not like, right? Gabe Davis posted that goodbye, as we mentioned. He's going to walk. Epinesa is someone, as you know, as I've stated on the program, I would like to see stay around. I think he has more upside. You might see that happen now. So this is a big plus for the Bills, and we'll see how it affects their their free agency here coming up. But I think there's not a lot of Bills news going on right now.
Obviously
it's kind of low.
The combine is happening this week, so next week I think we could we'll have a conversation at least about
a combine breakdown, if you will.
Yeah, maybe this is the year. Well, we can't because of Joe's Achilles, but maybe next year is the year we finally do the Buffalonian combine.
Yeah, I wish I could. Maybe I'll have to show the viewers an image of an MRI of my Achilles. It looks like a piece of Swiss cheese with multiple little tears in it. So we're gonna viewer discretion is advised whenever that happens, but we'll let you know. The Buffalonian Combine was slated to happen in 2021, the founding year of the pod, and it has not yet. So we've hit a roadblock there. But hey, you know what? Might as well say this now, right? Little note for everyone. It's a laid back pod, all right? It's Buffalonian After Dark. Okay, that's what we're gonna call this one.
Yeah,
right?
Rip off.
Buffalonian After Dark. Buffalonian Bowl number 3 will be coming to you at some point this summer. I know that's very vague, very just non-detailed, but we're trying to do a summer game where no one's freezing their absolute ass off. So like that is where we're at this point. It'll make a huge difference. Instead of playing in 32 degrees and snowing and wind,
we'll just be sweating our butts off.
be sweating in Buffalo's humid Miami like summer. So we'll get 2 opposite ends of the spectrum for you. Maybe we'll have one in fall at some point where it's like 16 sunny. That's football weather. I mean, that's football weather, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. Everyone's still a lot of us are still in school. So
I guess we could announce it as well that Joe and I are going to be behind the mics. So
yes. You heard the producer, Mooch, and myself behind the mic on the Buffalonian Bowl 2. The first one was unaired. Not going to say what happened there. Anyway, you'll see and hear Dom and I on the call. We're excited about it. It'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully get a better quarterback performance out of both teams. We'll see what happens.
Well, we gotta watch it when you gotta watch that.
Yeah, right. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but it was a little lackluster from one side. Anyway,
we have backwards passes.
Backwards passes, fumbles into the end zone for a touchdown, pick sixes, the whole deal. I mean,
double coverage.
If you haven't seen it yet, you should go look at it because it's on the YouTube channel. Buffalonian Bowl 2. The first half is we didn't take into account that batteries don't do well in the cold. The whole setup just failed by halftime. So you'll see the clock stop. You get a nice music bump going into halftime. So we'll have a full program for you in the summer. Hopefully on a power bank of some kind where it's not going to just die on us. So we'll have a full game for the first time in Buffalonian Bowl history this coming summer. So it'll be fun. We're excited to do it. I'm excited to have Dom on the call with me. It'll be a good time. So
yes, I think it will be
it'll be splendid.
I think it'll be our best production yet because I think we could hopefully.
We're putting a little more prep into this one too. So
a little bit better prepared.
We know what happened in the last one that needs to change as well, preparedness wise. So that's happening now. Better field, and actually maybe renting a space. So like that, that helps when you're just not popping up a table and getting your setup going. You get a booth and everything. So we'll see what happens there. But
who knows? May get a sponsor to sponsor the game to pay for the field.
Oh, maybe so. We'll have to wait and see.
As again, off topic pod, whatever. Go back to the first ads of the Buffalonian podcast.
What was the first ad? Oh yeah. We're looking for sponsors to take our show to the next level. Yeah. All that. So you can go back, listen to our old episodes, but do take a look at the Buffalonian Bowl 2. Rip it to shreds. Tell us what we need to do differently and let us know what you thought. Because we're gonna look at that, revisit everything, and we're getting a Buffalonian Bowl 3 ready for June or July at some point in this early summer. So we're excited to do it. But anyway, I think that ends the football programming for today.
We'll talk about I know there is a survey that came out for the NFLPA, but
we'll talk about
that next week with the combine, kind of wrap those two things, because then we'll talk about the sound bites and being in McDermott.
Maybe have a guest next week. We'll have to wait and see.
Never know what's going to happen. But talking about our beloved Buffalo Sabres, they unfortunately had their 3-game winning streak snapped yesterday in Florida, 3-2.
Of course, it's the Panthers.
I mean, just absolutely heartbreaking. I just don't.
First 3-game win streak of the season, is it not?
First 3. I mean, they get to 500 too with the 3-game winning streak. I mean, beating Carolina, who's a very solid team, and then taking care of Columbus and Montreal was really good. I mean, tomorrow is a big game playing against Tampa Bay, which is a team that you need to beat. You're chasing that team if you want to make the playoffs. But Florida's a really good team. I think they've won like 7 of their last 8 or 8 of the last 9, and it's a tough way to lose. It's just frustrating how they continue to lose these games. Down 2-1 late, they get kind of a cheap call from the refs, and then Granato loses his cool, costing them another penalty, and then they score in the 5-on-3, which ended up being the game-winning goal. And then this is the third year around this crap, but you have possession in the offensive zone with 2 minutes to go and you don't pull the goalie.
Yeah, that's a Granato-ism right there.
It's just
We're not pulling goalies.
He didn't get off until 24 seconds.
Yeah, you need to give your players time with 6 men, 6-on-5.
There's a reason why you want to have 6 guys, because you have an extra guy in puck battles, an extra guy just out there,
and an extra scoring opportunity in a lot of cases, and you're not capitalizing on that.
Even was mind-numbing to me is that they missed the window, I guess, with the possession. But once they got possession to their own end and you're trying to break out, he should have pulled the goalie. Who cares if the freaking first pass of the breakout gets picked and they score? Congrats, lose by 2 goals instead of 1.
Mm-hmm.
But playing it that conservative, while watching your team consistently not be able to break out on 5-on-5 as the Panthers are just loading up it's like beating your head against the wall.
You're beating a dead horse at that point. You're just your foot. Someone else's head is, oh gosh, I'm sorry. This is a Joe-ism. I can't get it out the first time. Somebody else's foot is on your head with your teeth in the curb. That's what's happening at this point.
And he likes it.
He likes it, and it's frustrating. It's just I don't get it, right? Like you said it, and like I said, it's a Granato-ism. That's just how it is.
But that's coaching.
That's coaching.
That's just mental.
That's why people are calling for your head. That's why there's pickets outside of KeyBank. Fire Granato. Donnie Meatballs. Okay, the players don't like that. Boo-hoo. Your coach needs to make better decisions. That's just what needs to happen.
I will say, though, on Sunday, they did salute the crowd.
They did salute the crowd.
Sunday. But I think it's frustrating. Obviously, it's going to be interesting what happens the rest of the way, because Luukkonen now has played, so I'm going to count this up real fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last 6. He started the last 6 games.
And he's been...
And if you count after the Comrie start, he started the 4 after that. So he started 10 of the last 11. And the reason why he missed the Florida game a couple weeks ago was from an injury. So, I mean, I don't even know what to say. I'm impressed.
Bruh.
I'm impressed by his workload, but
you're putting too much on him.
I just feel like it's way too much. And then Dahlin is insane. I think he has now 6 straight games where he's had 29 plus minutes on ice. And it's boys, I guess it's a playoff push because they have to try and attempt.
Numerically, they're still in it. So,
but you're just risking him for what? I think they had a 3% chance maybe of making the playoffs, and I think that's high.
I ran with 2% for about 3 weeks last year. So.
Sure, but I don't even know if it's worth it.
But you're not. Yeah, you're not.
He's
you're not
playing so much ice time.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he's your best player.
And
but
here's the thing, too.
Heck?
I mean, you can't. To me, I think you're running Luukkonen dry for the season. He's going to hit a wall at some point where he's going to need a solid amount of time off. This is a big workload on someone who's just basically come into his own. You know what I'm saying?
Who's never had this workload before,
right? Who's never has. He's never been trained for it
in the NHL level, I should say.
Yeah, Rochester, sure, but Levi's been doing really well in Rochester actually. His last 6 starts. I mean, I saw a stat, and he's kind of eating down there. It's 44 for 47, right? Stuff like that. He's doing what he needs to do. That'll be good for next season, but you need to figure something out now. You can't be running Luukkonen for all those games in a row. You know,
So the deadline is in 2 weeks, I believe.
They move for a goalie.
I mean, I don't think they're gonna give up an asset, but they gotta at least give Comrie some starts to spell Luukkonen. But I just don't even know what I'm intrigued what they do, because also Granato finally pulled the plug on Eric Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Johnson gave the really bad goal on 5-on-5 where he gets pushed out of the way by Montour into his own guy, and then the short-handed goalie was awful. So he played 3.5 minutes, didn't play in the second and third period. It's what the hell is the point of playing him if you're going to play him 3 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
That just is Ryan Johnson's sitting at healthy scratch and we're going to play a guy 3 minutes. It's just, I'm sorry, it just doesn't make a lot. This team, that doesn't make any sense what they're doing. Honest to God, then I know the solutions, the comeback's going to be, they're trying to up his trade value. You know what you do? You'd be hey, we're healthy scratching him to keep him healthy for the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Just for 2 weeks, do that and then trade him. For me, I'm all in the boat of the Sabres should be in the complete seller market.
They should be. They should be giving away their prospect, not giving away, but selling their prospects away. They have a ton.
Not their that's buying. I don't think they should trade for anyone. The deadline's always a situation where the prices are yanked up a lot.
Yeah, inflation.
Like Jordan Greenway went for a second-round pick last deadline.
Yeah,
like that. They probably could have got him for, I would assume, a lower cost if they did it in the offseason. So for me, it's like Erik Johnson has value. Get rid of him. They won't trade a Poso. Girgensons, get rid of him. Like, Olsen, find a way. Like, I don't even know what to say of that. Like, why is he even here? I mean, like, just retain half his salary. I assume someone would want him for $2 million, but maybe not. I just, like, for me, if I was managing the Sabres, I would get all the assets. Now, what you said about the prospects is interesting because I think there may be a scenario where you do buy, but, like, I don't know. It's got to be, like, the Sabres are now in a situation where when you identify your core and you're missing some pieces, specific pieces, like you have to go for that specific piece.
Yeah.
Right. And that
you can't really fumble around.
But that team, like the team you're trading with, knowing you're going after that specific piece is going to have that price increase. You know what I mean? Like everyone wants a top 4 right shot defenseman. But if Team A is just doing it to better themselves at the deadline for a playoff run,
right,
and you're Team B, but you know you want him for the long term to better yourself for the future, like what price do you think? Like I guess maybe not. Maybe the team trading him will just take whatever the price, but I think that would be 2 different prices, right?
Yeah,
like the team trading him would be like you need him for specific long term, they need him for the short term, like. They'd probably try and squeeze the team that needs them short term more than you, and then that's where you get out of it. Because they know the team that has the short term need will be willing to pay more than you. So that's where you get like trades to the deadline and go like, oh my god, how they get a first round pick and a prospect? Well, like
because they know you're desperate and they're going to go for it.
They know you're desperate and they're going to go for it. So the Sabres really aren't in a position to buy because they're that's why like I think I would be out on trading for players at the deadline because the prices are just outrageous because the teams train them know that someone who's in a position not 2% chance of making the playoffs is going to bite at their offer.
Right.
So that's where it's difficult because it's like, how do you improve your team? And it's like, you kind of don't. Like if I was the Sabres, again, trade away Erik Johnson. So not even for the compensation of Erik Johnson, but for the space for Ryan Johnson to play, I would trade away Girgensons, not just to trade away Girgensons for an asset, but again, you have a prospect in Rochester that could play. Move Jordan Greenway down to the 4th line. Put Kulik with Cousins and Middlestat or Rosine. Like that's how I think I would do it. Is I would trade people that are blocking my players for compensation, sure, but also for opportunity.
Yeah,
because you have, I mean, there's 25 games left. So
aren't you 27 and 28 now?
Yeah, 27, 28, and 4. I want to say so. Trying to do quick math in my head, but
there's just under 500.
23 games left.
Yeah.
Like by the deadline, it's probably like 18. So like you have an 18 game audition to be like, this is who it is. And also what it does is like if Yuri Kulik comes in for his 18 games and plays really well, like when you maybe look to acquire that specific piece we're talking about, it'd be like, hey, we have 18 games of Yuri Kulik. Like this is a sample size. I know 18 is kind of a small sample size, but it's a sample size of like, hey, he's played well. Like this is his value. And this is what we value as. And like, I don't know. That's what I would do. But
are you the Sabres?
Am I the Sabres? No.
No. And do you want to be the Sabres? No, in this situation. So probably it's just not. Like, listen.
Oh, I do want to say this.
Okay. All right.
Because I know we're closing at the end of the Sabres talk. But what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say this team right now has completely just shat on expectations for the season. Sorry to put it like that. It's true. As Dom quoted me saying last week, I'm so excited for the season to start October 25th or whenever it was. I wish the season would end. I mean, that's where we're at this point. Like, I just want it to end so they can get into the off season, get what needs to be done, and fix this because they had a wagon last year. They were going into the off season with all the hype behind them, the play to show that they could do it. And this season, you've seen absolutely none of that. And your star players have regressed immensely. I mean, we're looking at the junior Sabres in some cases at this point. So it's just like they need to really get their act together. And as a fan who's been out and in multiple points of his life because, they've been tough to watch. And I'm not like Dom, who puts myself through that, even though I did with the Bills the whole time. I'm at the point now where you want to be out. They go on a 3-game win streak. You're getting back into it. They teach you. They hold the steak in front of a lion, right? They're ready for it. Nope. They yank the fishing pole away. Gone. They
can't
lose.
pull a goalie.
Yeah, you can't pull the freaking goalie. Sorry. Just very frustrating to have to deal with this. But I think that's going to do it.
I just have one thing to add.
One last thing for Sabres.
Well, two things to add.
Okay.
They did announce that they're going to do renovations.
Oh,
at
that's right. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Renovate the stadium for a team that can't make the playoffs. That's fantastic. I can't wait to see it because that's the only good thing I'm going to be excited to go see next season. Can't you? Can you wait? Can you wait to see a new roof and oh my God, a new jumbotron that can show the Sabres getting scored on the entire game? Me neither.
Thank you for.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm very sorry. I apologize.
No, you shouldn't. So that yes, they're going to get a new jumbotron, a new roof.
I guess they're investing in the team, so they're not moving. I guess that's a good thing,
True. They're going to have an exclusive season ticket event, full team event, and there's like an NHL event that they're announcing. Some people were maybe think it's an international tournament. I think what many people speculate is I believe that next season I think it's next season. I might be completely wrong. It might be 2 seasons from now, but there's rumor that they're going to start the season in Prague overseas against the Devils. So
Terry's figuring out places where they could possibly move and make money.
He's got to figure out he's got to get yacht pass for that.
Yeah. But he already sold the yacht to renovate KeyBank, so he's got to figure out how to lease another one, a cheaper one. So.
Yeah, but with also the Sabres, I just have to make a point that Joseph and I went to the Bandits game on Saturday.
Against Albany.
Tough L.
Yeah,
not a great Bandit season, I'm going to say.
I got parked on the top of the freaking parking garage too.
Last memory of the Jeep is that too.
Yes. Yeah. Last memory of the Jeep. He took the last ever photo of me in it. So
I know.
Yeah. Now it's going to an auction somewhere. But anyway, the Bandits game. Seeing that place, I knew what you were going to say as soon as you brought it up. Seeing that place as packed as it was for a team that actually wins championships, maybe they're not,
or at least competes for them,
right? Maybe they're not fantastic this season. They're struggling, right? They're definitely on a victory hangover, right? The Bills were 5-5 though, right? They made a push. So that you never know. The Bandits could make a push to get into the playoffs and go again. But how fun was that environment? Like to see all those fans, it was something that you don't see at anything other than a Bills game around here in the city of Buffalo. You saw that in KeyBank Center and you're like, this is what the Sabres could be and more.
That's why I'm saying like this is a full house. It's not a full house, but like
it was pretty much
16,000 fans. And it's like, this is what the Sabres, like if they were a solid team, like this is what they would be ranking on a consistent basis. Right. And it's also a situation where it's kind of cool because I've never been in a suite for a Bandits game before.
Yes,
I've been in a suite for a Sabres game, which was kind of cool because I actually dominated that game.
Yeah,
against the Wings last year. But I've never been in a suite for a Bandits game. It is cool. I think though, after my experience with the Bandits game, really it's multiple things. One is, it's still a fantastic environment. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer sitting in like the 100.
As would I be in the environment.
I think
it's almost like a Bills game.
Being in the environment. Sabres, I could kind of. I'm okay being in the suites.
You need another thing to pull your attention away from the dumpster fire that's happening on the ice. Yeah,
and it's not like Bandits game is like they don't sell you really on the product of the game. They don't sell you on the actual game. They sell you on the experience of the game.
Right.
Like the music, the vibes,
the in-game announcing, all of that. Yeah.
Like the Sabres is like all about selling you really mostly on the on-ice experience.
Mm-hmm. And they're not selling.
Yes.
So
they're lacking in that regard. Yes,
right.
Absolutely. So
that wraps that up.
Yeah. So that one, and I guess I'll say this too. My one complaint is that we did go to the 300 at one point to say hello to my brother, and we went to the Lenovo line. So we're hungry. We want some za.
We want some pizza.
We
yeah.
want some pizza, and
they've upgraded the slices quite a bit. They're very good.
The food quality
has increased immensely.
Really improved.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, though, the quantity, there was none, and
they were ready for a Sabres crowd.
Yes, we made the joke that they were ready for a Sabres quad.
Sabres crowd. I mean, that's just what it was because truthfully, they're not used to that many people packing in and ordering all that food. So the 300 level at least was out. I guarantee the 100 level probably had some.
Probably, but
I would say, but we were in the 300 level. We were too lazy to walk down.
So we got chicken fingers.
So yeah, we ended up with chicken fingers, which were very good.
Which were solid.
Yeah, very solid. But yeah, quantity in the 300s. I mean, we're gonna vouch. I mean, that has to be upgraded.
You got to be a little bit better there.
I mean, improvement though overall on a scale.
Sure, the quality,
bar none.
The quality of the food, the lines, I think, are quicker, for at least from my opinion. So they have improved in that regard. And obviously, with their innovations, are really cool. But one thing I will say is this: like, is it possible for us to get better seats? Like get some cup holders, improve the seats,
and maybe not have the seat in front of you in your knees.
Yes,
yeah, like, that'd be great.
And also not sit in the 300s where my feet are sticking to beer that was spilled 5 years ago.
Yeah,
like
right.
I think that's the next thing I would recommend if Terry's listening to renovate. But
yeah, Tear Bear, let's fix this
again.
Please.
Really enjoyed it. I guess our last thing to talk about on the pod is kind of.
It's a little off.
But
But we're getting close to bracket season. We even have a couple ideas for some brackets that we're going to try out. Maybe on the 1 year special, but
2 year special.
2 year special.
Buddy,
oh wow!
Wow.
I'm so last year. Dom texted in the group chat the other day, the Buffalonian Pod group chat, and he's like, "I talked with my brother on this March Madness thing. We have to talk about it on the pod." Okay, so I'm going in blind. I need you to just stare that mic down, baby, and let us hear it.
Listen, let it rip. All right, so I apologize if this goes long, but so my brother Jeremy and I don't even know what the heck we were doing, but he just came over and chilled on Sunday, and literally for an hour plus of our lives, we discussed the topic of expansion for the March Madness tournament, the NCAA basketball tournament, men and women, but we were focusing mostly on the men. So right now it's currently at 68 teams, right? It's first 4 games, and then the round of 64. And there's been talk that they could increase that to 96 teams. Mm-hmm. We were thinking, oh, how the heck would they be able to do that? Obviously, they would have to add another weekend. But him and I were both discussing. We're like, I don't know how much I like. Like, it would basically be, instead of having 4 brackets of 16 teams, it would be 4 of 24, right? You just add 8.
Just add more teams.
Add 8. You get rid of the first 4, add 8.
Yep.
But him and I were both talking. We're like, it'd be great for it to be another week and they'd also make a crap ton more money. It's great for it to be another week because I was a huge college hoops fan growing up. As I get older and like I don't have as much time to kind of sacrifice like every day of my week to do that, I've kind of I don't know how to explain it properly, but it's harder to keep in track. But I really pay attention like right about now, like when it turns to March. I lock in for the last week of the year, the conference tournaments, and I get ready for the picks. And I'm dialed in for the 3 weeks in March Madness. So making it 4 weeks and like expanding the exposure and the money, I think makes a ton of sense for me. Mm-hmm. Like I would be in for that. Now, maybe the average consumer would be like, I'm not in for that. Like 1 more week is just too much. For me, I think I would be okay with it.
I think most sports fans would actually be okay with that because March Madness kind of brings back that feeling you had during football season.
And there's nothing going on.
And there's nothing happening right now. Other than in Buffalo, your dumpster fire of a hockey team doing nothing, but that's it. I mean, like, it brings back that feeling of, I have a horse in the race. You know,
sure.
that kind of
like
thing.
I have a Cinderella team like Florida Atlantic last year. But yeah. So we're talking, we're like, we would preferably not want it to be 96 to like the round of 96, then the round of 48. It's like, why would they want to have one of the weekends like the round of 64 to get diminished? So our plan was this. This is our idea. So this is it.
This is it.
The top selection Sunday. We'll just talk about it like it happens on March 1st, even though it doesn't. Mm-hmm. March 1st, Sunday. Mm-hmm. The 96 teams get selected. Mm-hmm. The first 32 teams, so the top 8 seeds in each bracket, East, West, South, Midwest, get a bye.
Oh, so they get the first round bye.
So they don't play in the first week.
I kind of like that.
So the earliest they could play is Thursday of the second week. So I don't know what that would be, like the 12th. The remaining teams play each other. What I mean by that is you seed out the rest of the teams. So that the East has 24 teams, West, South, Midwest. 9 plays 24, 10 plays 23, 11, etc. You go all the way down. Okay, so 16 plays 17, whatever. So how would they do this? So there's 2 ideas that you could do it. You could start the games on Wednesday. So the selection Sunday, Wednesday, you play. So each region gets another location. Mm-hmm. So like the East games will be played in Boston. The South will be played in Georgia. Midwest, Kansas. West Anaheim, like whatever. Each day, so Wednesday, 4 East games, 4 Midwest games.
Okay.
Thursday, 4 South games, 4 West games. And then the other 4 East games, other 4 Midwest games are Friday, and then the other 4 for the other 2 brackets are Saturday.
I like that.
So you would have 8 games for 4 straight days. So pretty much like you could be like for the East on day 1, it's 9 versus 24, 16 versus 17.
More exposure.
More exposure. More exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other 4, whatever.
Yeah.
What happens then is after that Saturday's up, you'd be down to 64 teams. And what you could do is you could do 2 things. So either you could start on Thursday and just do what you naturally do for the round of 64.
Mm-hmm.
I say, Jeremy and I were talking about this, they should start on Wednesday, because what they should do is they should have a second selection show on the March 8th of the 8 teams remaining in each bracket that weren't on the bye. You reseed.
So based on their performance.
Based on their performance. So
if the 9
seed plays the 24 seed.
And the 24 seed wins.
And well, that's numerical. Like you could either do it like without doing a second show and be like, if the 9 seed wins, the 9 seed, right? Mm-hmm. Or the 10 seed wins and the 9 seed wins, or the 10 seed. Or you could do it as if the 9 seed like wins by like a point in overtime over the 24 seed.
You can lower them.
You could lower them. And like if the 10 seed kicks the crap out of the 23 seed, it's like, you know what? Honestly, no, you can't move them from bracket to bracket,
but you can move them.
You can move them in the bracket, so you'd have a second selection show, which is more exposure. So that was kind of our idea, and then our idea of it as well is that of the 32 seeds that get a bye, 4 of them have to be outside the main conferences. So, like you know how like in football now there's 12 teams, but now they've had like one group of 5 champion gets in.
Yeah.
So it helps the small schools because it guarantees their seat at the table, at least in the buys where they wouldn't get screwed. And it also helps the small schools too, because if you go to 96, say, just for reality's sake, Niagara basketball goes undefeated and loses in the semifinals in the MAC tournament to Canisius, and Canisius ends up winning the tournament and gets out of bed.
Hypothetical.
Mm-hmm. When that happens, usually it's the MAC Mid-Atlantic Conference is athletic conference is a 1-bid league. So usually it'll only be Canisius and Niagara get screwed. In the 96 teams, I think it's very easy that Canisius would get in as the auto bid, and Niagara would also get in as an at-large bid because there's more at-larges, right? Yeah. So it's more opportunity for those like really good. And also what it would do is, unfortunately, it would completely like basically eliminate the NIT, which is the second, like the best teams that don't make the NCAA tournament.
Right.
But
I mean, sacrifices have to happen.
So I think it helps the small conferences a little bit, especially with the bigger thing. I think it adds another week of entry. The second selection show is up to determination. I also think the reason why I think our strategy is really our thing is really cool is I think that's how you get to 100 teams too.
You can even
because when you get 100 teams is you say Tuesday, the 24 seed plays a 25 seed.
Ooh.
And
make them fight to get in.
Fight them to get in. So on that Tuesday they play, and then you say wherever you go, you play either Friday or like you don't play Tuesday or to Wednesday. You play Tuesday to then whatever the Friday, Saturday in your region is. So you at least have an extra day. I think it adds entry. I think the top teams get it. Now what could happen is the top teams get rusty per se because they're off for a week and a half, and that could be a consequence. But I think the top teams would be okay with getting some rest. I think the second selection show is good for ratings. I also think the second selection show, what it also does is it also lowers, I guess, the competitive advantage super with the bye. Because if you're the 8 seed and you get the bye, and if you know the 9 seed wins, which they're probably going to do, you could be planning for a week and a half game planning for them. Right? Well, the 9 seed has to play the 24 seed and then all that jazz. So I think it adds a little entry where if like on the 8 seed, maybe like we may be planning for the 9 seed, but if the 9 seed were to suck and the 11 seed was really good, we then had to play the 11 seed. So that's also you could do instead of doing another idea, instead of doing the 100 team thing on Tuesday, you have the 7 and the 10 play. I don't know how they would do this. I'm trying to think. You would have you know how the NBA does a play-in? You could maybe do a play-in for the last spots that are safe.
Right.
I don't know if anyone would agree. That might be too far, but
you have to let us know what you think. I mean, Dom is basically paving the road right in front of me, and I can see it happening. So I like that. I don't know how the listeners feel. Anything else you want to add to the back end of that, or is that?
No, I mean it's I hope I did
It's
a
a
good
little
job.
complicated.
I hope I did
You
a good
did.
job of explaining it.
If I can understand it, you
yeah,
did a good job
thank
of
you.
explaining it.
But
So
I think that's like where they should go with because listen, people that are gonna say, oh, they're not gonna expand or whatever. No one thought in college football, no one thought they were going to go to a 14 playoff until they did, and no one thought they were going to expand upon the 14 playoff. And 10 years happened, and then they're doing it.
right,
This is going to happen.
it has to. It creates more
evolution.
watchability and more money. That's what it makes.
That's the most important part, honestly, because like if you look at college football and the March Madness makes the most money for the NCAA, and especially if NIL, then you'd be able to make more money for these schools, these programs, and that would mean more money.
And when the NCAA games start coming out for college basketball, like they're going to with football again, you now have that big tournament that you could, okay.
And another week. And again, this is like this is why I always say about March Madness. It's like, who are you competing against? It's like when I talk about like the NHL or the NBA, it's like, why are you starting your seasons in October when you're competing of college football and like the MLB playoffs, when you could start your seasons in December and compete with the tail end of the NFL? Like, why would you compete with more people? Like for college basketball, the reason why March Madness is so significant is because there's nothing else happening. There's nothing happening other than college basketball. Like,
Super Bowl's done, all of that.
Super Bowl's, the NFL's done, the NHL and the NBA are winding down, and that's somewhat exciting, but it's like,
I mean, when you have teams that are on the uptick during that time, when you have teams like us, you're not watching them very much. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd rather watch that. I'd rather sit down and watch March Madness. You know what I'm saying?
Again, you want to be there the first time a 24 seed beats the 1 seed,
right?
Like, or the 24 seed beats the 9 seed and gets in.
You want to be there and see the St. Peter's take it down and go. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what you want to see. So when that happened, of course.
But I just think obviously there would have to be a lot of rules to like how would they be able to seed. I alluded to the 4-bye thing for the top 4, but then how would they be able to see the rest? There'd be a lot, but I just think, listen, it's going to be more money, more intrigue into the teams, more teams, which means more programs get money for more conferences,
and more players get an opportunity to play
for exposure. Like think about all those guys for St. Peter's, like that got all that exposure for that run. They would not have gotten that opportunity if it wasn't for that. Like forever in our minds will we remember that team. And like when you look at that team, you're like, oh, I remember that player, and that player may not have known much.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great opportunity, and I think I would be intrigued by it. Again, I love consuming sports, so I would be intrigued to see what the average consumer would think. But I would be all for it.
Yeah, me as well. Great job laying that out. I'm gonna have to go back and listen just to make sure I got everything, but I mean, I pretty much did. You summed it up great, but I think that's going to do it for this edition of the Buffalonian podcast. Thank you for listening. I'm Joe Cali. As always, I'm joined by none other than Dom Loss. And Dom, how do you always end these, buddy?
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills.